Welcome back to a warm embrace, a soft place for the hard parts of being human. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking about boundaries, capacity, and people-pleasing. Today, we're exploring one of the hardest parts of all of that: saying no. Not because we don't care, but because we often care so much that saying no can feel uncomfortable, even when it's the healthiest thing we could do. Sometimes the hardest word to say is also the kindest. If you've ever apologized for having a limit, this episode is for you. For some of us, no isn't just a word. It feels like rejection, conflict, disappointment, like we're letting someone down. So instead of asking, "Do I want to?" we quietly ask, "Will they still be okay with me if I don't?" Sometimes we don't fear saying no. We fear what might happen afterwards. One of the biggest lessons I had to learn is this: feeling guilty doesn't automatically mean you've done something wrong. Sometimes guilt simply means you're doing something differently. Especially if you've spent years putting other people first. Your nervous system hasn't caught up yet. It still believes saying yes is what keeps everyone safe, including you. You don't have to start with the big things. Sometimes we imagine boundaries as one huge conversation, one dramatic moment, one life-changing declaration. But most healthy boundaries are much quieter than that. They begin in ordinary moments. Choosing a different restaurant, turning down an extra task, leaving when you plan to leave, saying, "I won't be able to make it." Small boundaries build confidence, just like small acts of trust slowly build self-trust. Something else I've learned is that not every request needs an immediate answer. Sometimes we feel pressure to respond before we've even checked in with ourselves. But you're allowed to pause. You're allowed to say, "Let me check my calendar. I'll think about it," or "I'll get back to you." That pause creates something valuable: space. And sometimes, space is exactly what's needed to hear your own voice before everyone else's. No is a complete sentence. Many of us feel the need to soften every no, to explain, to justify, to apologize, almost as though our boundary needs permission to exist. But healthy boundaries don't become healthier because they're longer. Sometimes the kindest response is also the simplest. "No, I won't be able to." Not because you're dismissive, because you're being honest. Honesty doesn't require a lengthy defense. Every time we say no to something, we're saying yes to something else. Maybe we're saying yes to rest, to family, to our health, to our peace, to showing up fully instead of half present everywhere. Saying no isn't closing a door. It's choosing which doors matter most to walk through. Let's pause here for a moment. What are you protecting every time you say yes when you really mean no? And what part of your life might quietly begin to flourish if you protected that instead? If saying no once led to conflict, criticism, or rejection, your body may still interpret guilt as danger. But guilt isn't always a sign that you've crossed a line. Sometimes it's simply your nervous system learning that safety doesn't always require self-sacrifice. Someone else's disappointment doesn't automatically become your responsibility. People are allowed to feel disappointed, just like you're allowed to honor your limits. Both of those things can be true at the same time. We often think saying no closes a door, but sometimes saying no simply leaves enough room to walk through the right one. Every healthy no creates space for a wholehearted yes. Not just for the people you love, but for yourself too. Thank you for listening to A Warm Embrace. Take what lands, leave what doesn't. Be kind to yourself today. I'll see you next week.